Metaphysics. Yeah, I know. The word itself sounds big, maybe a little intimidating, right? But stick with me here. At its heart, it's really just about asking the biggest questions you can possibly imagine. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on what's called classical metaphysics. Think of it like this. We're going to build a blueprint, a kind of architecture for understanding reality itself. And it all kicks off with one single massive question.
Yep, this is it. Why is there something instead of nothing? I mean, really think about that for a second. This is probably the deepest question anyone can ask. It's not about how the universe works. That's for physics. This is about why it even exists in the first place. Why all of this, all this matter, this energy, our own consciousness, why that instead of just a total silent void? This very question, this is our doorway into metaphysics. Okay, so what exactly is metaphysics? Well, put simply, it's the branch of philosophy that looks at the fundamental nature of reality, of existence, of being itself. The name is actually kind of a funny little historical accident. It comes from the Greek for after the things of nature, because when librarians were organizing Aristotle's works, they just kind of stuck his writings on this topic right after his books on physics. But you know what? That placement is just perfect. And here's why that's perfect. Think of it like this. Science is amazing at giving us the how. It can explain the mechanics of everything, right? Like how photosynthesis works or how gravity bends space-time. Metaphysics, though, it takes a step back. It's not asking how, it's asking what and why. So while a scientist might ask, how do these trees grow? A metaphysician asks, okay, but what is a forest, fundamentally? And why is there a forest here at all? See the difference? It's about getting to the essential nature of things. And to get to those big what and why answers, we have to start right at the heart of metaphysics. There's a field called Ontology, and its whole job is to study being itself, to wrestle with that one massive question, what does it actually mean to be? So, to figure out what it means to be, classical thinkers came up with this core idea, substance. Now, don't just think of physical stuff. Substance is the essential identity of a thing. It's unchangeable, whatness, the thing that makes it what it is. For a person, the substance isn't your body, but your fundamental humanity. It's that stable foundation of your identity. But that's not the whole picture. Because layered on top of that substance, you have what are called accidents. These are all the properties that can change without messing with a thing's core identity. Your hair color can change, you can get taller or shorter, but your fundamental substance, your humanity, that stays the same. Accidents are the features a thing has, not what it fundamentally is. Let's make this super concrete with an example. Imagine a bronze statue of a great hero. The substance of that statue is its identity as the hero. That's its essence, right? Now, all the other stuff, the fact that it's made of bronze, that it's heavy, that it's standing in a city square, all of those are accidents. I mean, it could be made of marble or moved into a museum, and it would still be a statue of that hero. Its substance wouldn't change. Okay, so if things have this stable substance, then how do they change? This was a huge puzzle for early philosophers, and Aristotle's answer was just revolutionary. He said, look, change isn't something just popping into existence from nothing. It's really just the story of something moving from its potential to its actual state. Let's go back to our bronze. A block of bronze just sitting there is actually a block of bronze. That's its actuality. But locked inside it is the potential to become all sorts of other things. It could be a shield, a handful of coins, or our statue. The sculptor doesn't create the statue out of thin air. They take the potential that was already there inside the bronze and make it actual. So change is nothing more than the actualization of a potential. Simple, but so powerful. All right, now we're getting to the real toolkit. To understand anything completely, I mean the statue, a tree, even yourself, Aristotle said you need to be able to answer 4 essential questions. These are his famous 4 causes. Think of them as the complete instruction manual for why anything exists the way it does.
So every explanation has to start with the material cause. This one's pretty straightforward. What is the physical stuff it's made from? For our statue, the material cause is simple. It's the bronze. The matter that's just waiting for a change.
But raw material is just a lump. It's shapeless. It needs a formal cause. This is the pattern, the design, the blueprint. For the statue, it's that idea, the image of the hero that the sculptor has in their mind. It's the form that gets imposed on the matter to bring that potential out into the world. Of course, a blueprint can't just shape the material by itself, right? That needs an efficient cause. This is the agent that actually does the work. It's the force that kicks off the change from potential to actual. In our statue's case, the efficient cause is the sculptor, their hands, their tools, their effort shaping the bronze.
And finally, we get to what Aristotle thought was the most important cause of all, the final cause. You'll also hear this called its telos. This is the ultimate purpose, the for the sake of which a thing exists. The statue wasn't made just to be a pretty lump of shaped bronze. No, it was made in order to honor a hero. That is its ultimate reason for being.
So now that we have this toolkit, substance, accidents, potentiality, and the four causes, we can start to tackle some of the biggest, most mind-bending puzzles in all of philosophy.
Let's start with one that seems really simple on the surface. Just think about the color red. You can have a red ball, a red car, a red shirt. They're all totally different things, but they all share this one quality of redness. So, what is that redness? Is it even a real thing?
This right here is the classic problem of universals and particulars. Is there some kind of abstract universal redness that actually exists out there on its own, like Plato thought with his whole theory of forms? Or is red just a convenient label our minds create to group similar things together? Metaphysics dives deep into questions just like this.
Okay, and here's an even bigger one, the mind-body problem. Think about it. You have a physical body, right? It's made of matter. But you also have this immaterial mind, your consciousness, your thoughts, your feelings. How in the world do those two connect? Are you basically a ghost driving a machine, or is it something else entirely?
Well, classical metaphysics gives us two main answers. Plato's idea, called dualism, says that the soul and the body are two totally separate things, two different substances. The soul is just temporarily living in the body. But Aristotle's view, called hylomorphism, is completely different. He argues that the soul is the form of the body, and the body is the matter. They're inseparable parts of one single thing. It's like you can't separate the shape of a sphere from the stuff it's made of. For Aristotle, you can't separate the soul from the body.
So let's circle back to that really important idea, the final cause, the telos. For these classical thinkers, this wasn't just for things humans make. They believed that everything in nature had an inherent purpose. The telos of an acorn is to become a mighty oak tree. The telos of your heart is to pump blood. The whole universe was seen as this deeply meaningful, purposeful system. And that brings us to the final question, the one that turns all of this abstract philosophy right back onto you. If everything has a purpose, a reason for which it exists, then what is yours? What is the end that you are striving for? What is your final cause?